How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. I just posted about this on my channel, but I wanted to do an in-depth video for Cleanspark. So this is a stock that I've been buying into pretty heavily since about $18 a share. I've been adding more all the way up to 40. And there's just a short seller report that came out on it. I want to address it because I haven't seen anyone else talk about it, but I want to give a shout out to my Patreon, first of all, because they brought this up to me that Cleanspark was falling, and we did research on the company. We took a look at the company that is actually shorting Cleanspark, and I'll hit on that in a second because they've shorted a handful of stocks before. I'll show you what they've shorted and how it's done. And I also want to go over just some of the allegations or what they say, and kind of my thoughts on it, and tell you whether I bought or sold Cleanspark in that time span, because I did one of them, and I'll explain that towards the end. So if you guys like this, please leave a thumbs up. I really appreciate it. Please hit subscribe if you haven't already done that. If you guys want, there are 4 free stocks through WeBull. You can check it out in the link down below. They're running the 4 free stock promotion through tomorrow. At least that's what they tell me. They say that ends tomorrow. And last thing, if you want to join the Patreon, these are the times that I feel like the Patreon is very valuable. Everyone always thinks about the upside. Everyone always thinks about stocks that are going up and being able to get in early. And honestly, we've done that. I mean, BNGO's up something like 40% at one point today. And we're up 500 or 600% over the last few weeks in that one. We're up a lot in other stocks too. But things like this, when we're actually down, that is something that people don't typically think about. And whether to add more or to sell or whatever, I think that's when the community really comes together, because it's all great when everything's up, but we need to reevaluate when something negative comes out. So definitely check that out down below if you are interested. So there's a short seller report on Cleanspark, and I'll be honest, I don't love covering these just because I don't want to paint a target on my back. The reason is the short seller actually put another YouTuber, not me, but another YouTuber in his presentation, the 20-page presentation, and I'm not going to go through exactly what they say like on the short seller report. I'm going to show you their Twitter and some of their points, but I'm not going to go through the actual report just because I don't trust the short sellers. So just remember, short sellers are putting out these reports because they want to make money. And I'll show you what they've shorted in the past, because after looking at what they've shorted in the past, it's made me feel a lot better on the company. Now, of course, right off the bat, do all your own research. I'm not a stock market analyst or a financial advisor, so do your own research. But let's just take a look at a couple of their points. So the company is called Culper Research. They're exposing a $1 billion company that they found fabricated its supposed customers' contracts and product placements in the name of its gutless stock promotion. So they say they acquired P2K Labs, yet Cleanspark CFO Lori Love was listed on P2K documents as early as November 2018. In effect, CLSK appears to purchase the side business of its CFO. So if that's true, that's not great. And just first of all, a lot of this I don't have access to. I don't know how much of this is true, but I think we can kind of get a good idea for what's happening in a second. Of CLSK's pantry business, which isn't apparently fabricated, we find it's rife with undisclosed related party transactions. So they claimed a $1 million contract with law clerk, yet CLSK CRO Amir Tedian is also listed on their website. So I think other companies do that too, but we would like to see them not do that, but we can continue on. Finally, CLSK subsidy P2K itself appears to also fake its customers, as customers listed as case studies on its site appear to exist only on paper. You can see they bought ATL data centers in December and consistently tout its low cost to mine. However, we think CLSK hasn't disclosed that ATL's subsidized power agreement may be set to expire in less than 3 years. They claim to be able to do 133 million in 2020 revenues. It did just 10 million, and that was back in 2017. They said that they would be able to do 133 million. Now, I don't know if that's true because I was not covering the stock at the time. They say that they burned through 15 million of cash, which makes sense. I mean, these companies typically don't make money for a while. We think CEO Bradford and Chairman Schultz cannot be trusted. We view CLSK shares as worthless. So I feel like that's a very strong statement to make, that they're worthless, because this is a $1 billion company. Now, again, I was covering this pretty heavily in my Discord. If you just look up here, you can see that I was covering this very heavily. Now, just looking at some of the stocks that they've shorted. According to Twitter, they shorted HROW in late 2019. In August, it's up 19% since then. CAT stock, or also known as OTRK, is up 133% since they said they were shorting. VBIV is up 47%. And I'm not saying that this is incorrect, what they're saying about CLSK. I'm just trying to give some context behind who they've shorted before. Now, the cream of the crop, the last one that I want to point out that they shorted was Blink stock. They shorted it this year. Since then, it went from a $9 stock up to a $53 stock. So keep that in mind. It makes me feel a lot better about what they've said. They allege that Blink Charging vastly exaggerated the size of its EV charging network, leading shares to fall as much as 16%. So what am I doing with CLSK? Because I feel like I owe this to you guys, because you guys have been followers on the channel. I bought some shares. I didn't buy a ton of shares just because I've been buying a lot of stocks this week, I'll just be honest. But I picked up some more shares when it dipped. I actually bought them right around, I want to say right around 34 or 34 and a half, something like that, right pretty much in this dip. Now, this is one of those plays where it's risky. You're trying to catch a falling knife, but I like to average down a lot of the time if I feel strongly about a company. Now, none of the things that were brought up by the short seller really were over the limit to me. I mean, I don't think any are over the line. I don't think any of these things are a deal breaker for the company. For me, I mean, it's not like Nikola where they're talking about literally sending a vehicle down a hill and then recording it to mislead shareholders and then like putting some fancy words behind it. I don't think it's like that. I could be wrong, so do your research. You can definitely look up the short report, but I find it interesting enough that I wanted to cover it. And I wanted to cover it because I know a lot of people will be having questions on it, and a lot of people don't see my community posts. So I thought this was a good way of doing it. Now, let me know your thoughts on this. Again, if you want to check out the Patreon, just in case things like this happen in the future, you get the upside of having a lot of people talking about stocks. They're going to do really well. And you protect the downside by covering yourself from short sellers. Remember, short sellers are shorting the stock. They're trying to make money on the way down. So of those 4 stocks that I brought up, they were all listed on their Twitter. And for some reason, this wasn't showing up for me before, but they have, it looks like they shorted maybe 1 or 2 other stocks. But for a while, I could only see 4 stocks on their Twitter. I don't know why. But it's interesting to take a look at what they've done in the past to see what kind of possibilities could come up. Of course, do your own research. Diversify. That's the key in investing. I don't put a ton of money in any single stock, especially one that's risky, but I do put a decent amount to the point where I want to make sure that I'm not losing my money, because that will set me back. So definitely take a look at this yourself. I want to hear what your thoughts are down in the comments below. Now, if you want to see a video on BNGO and what's happening with the stock, because it's blowing up right now, I'll put it up here. If you want to see a video on another stock that I just bought yesterday, you can check it out down here. Also a very interesting stock. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in one of these videos. Bye.